The chilly evening air of New York City usually carries the familiar synchronized rumble of the subway trains beneath the pavement and the relentless honking of yellow cabs navigating the gridlock of Midtown Manhattan, but on this particular night, the atmosphere surrounding Pennsylvania Station felt entirely different, charged with a strange electric anticipation that seemed to pull thousands of wandering eyes upward toward the glowing lights of one of the world's most iconic structures. For decades, Madison Square Garden has stood as the ultimate secular cathedral of American popular culture, a massive, circular arena where legendary athletes have bled for championships and where iconic musicians have cemented their legacies under the blinding glare of thousands of spotlights, making it a place reserved exclusively for the grandest spectacles imaginable. Yet, as the sun dipped below the jagged skyline and the bright neon advertisements of 7th Avenue began to paint the asphalt in vibrant shades of electric blue and crimson, the massive crowd gathering along the sidewalks was not holding tickets for a rock concert, nor were they wearing the jerseys of the New York Knicks or the Rangers, but instead, they were caught in the grip of an unfolding rumor that threatened to shatter the internet and redefine the very nature of modern celebrity culture. Security personnel in heavy black coats moved in quiet, urgent patterns along the perimeter, erecting metal barricades and establishing a strict perimeter that pushed curious tourists and stunned onlookers back into the crisp night air. While luxury black sport utility vehicles with deeply tinted windows began to glide smoothly into the underground loading bays, their arrivals timed with mathematical precision to avoid the flashing lenses of the paparazzi, who had already begun to stake out every possible entrance. Word had spread across social media networks with the terrifying speed of a wildfire, whispering that inside that historic, hollowed arena, an event of unprecedented proportions was taking place completely shielded from the public eye, turning a venue that usually hosts 20,000 roaring fans into a heavily fortified fortress of absolute secrecy. To truly understand how the world arrived at this jaw-dropping moment of cultural convergence, one has to look back at the incredible, parallel journeys of two individuals who have dominated the collective consciousness of the public for years, representing the absolute pinnacle of their respective industries and capturing the imagination of millions across the globe. On one side stands a lyrical mastermind and global musical phenomenon whose career has transitioned from a teenage country prodigy into an inescapable cultural force capable of shifting national economies with a single stadium tour. A woman whose every poetic lyric is dissected by millions of devoted followers searching for hidden meanings, and whose personal life has been documented with the intensity of a historical archive. On the other side is a towering, charismatic force of nature from the world of professional American sports, a multi-time championship athlete whose infectious energy, physical dominance on the gridiron, and larger-than-life personality have made him a household name far beyond the painted lines of the football field. When these two colossal worlds first collided in a flurry of public flirtations, stadium suite appearances, and high-profile dates through the streets of major cities, the public watched with a mixture of fascination and disbelief, witnessing the ultimate merger of pop music royalty and elite sports stardom, a romance so perfectly cinematic that it seemed almost scripted by a Hollywood studio. For months, the world watched their every move, tracking private jets across oceans, analyzing the fashion choices worn to high-stakes games, and listening intently to every podcast episode and interview for the slightest hint of where this whirlwind romance was heading, creating an unprecedented level of global scrutiny that would make even the most seasoned public figures retreat into total isolation. If you find yourself completely fascinated by this unfolding spectacle and want to stay updated on every single detail of this historic cultural event as it breaks, please take a quick moment right now to subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications, because we will be breaking down every single angle of this massive story as it develops across the globe. As the evening progressed and the digital chatter reached a deafening crescendo, the mystery inside Madison Square Garden only deepened, with reports trickling out that the interior of the arena had been completely transformed from a chilly sports floor into an opulent, breathtaking space designed to host an exclusive group of individuals who hold the keys to the entertainment industry. The contrast was utterly jarring, as the rough concrete backstages that usually echo with the shouts of coaches and the heavy footsteps of athletes were reportedly lined with thousands of imported white roses. delicate silk draperies that muted the industrial acoustic design of the venue, and custom lighting installations that cast a soft, ethereal glow over a room that had seen some of the most brutal physical contests in sporting history. Outside, the sheer scale of the gathering crowd began to cause logistical nightmares for the city as hundreds of fans, known worldwide for their fierce loyalty and investigative instincts, began to gather at the corners of 31st Street and 8th Avenue, holding up their smartphones in a desperate attempt to catch a glimpse of a familiar face or a stray detail that could confirm the wild theories bouncing around internet forums. There was a palpable sense of irony hanging in the crisp New York air, because for months, the narrative surrounding this high-profile couple had been one of carefully managed privacy, with close associates suggesting that if they ever chose to take the ultimate step in their relationship, it would occur in a quiet, secluded corner of the world, perhaps on a private estate in Rhode Island or a hidden coastal retreat in California, far away from the blinding lights and the insatiable appetite of the media. Instead, the choice of location felt like a deliberate, massive statement, a theatrical declaration that if the world was going to watch them anyway, they would give the world a venue that matched the astronomical proportions of their fame, turning the most private vow a human being can make into a stadium-sized event that blurred the line between a personal milestone and a global media broadcast. The tension along the city blocks grew heavier with every passing hour as the heavy steel doors of the arena remained firmly shut, leaving the public to wonder who exactly was sitting inside those transformed walls. What promises were being whispered over the microphone, and how an event of this magnitude could be kept under wraps in the age of instant digital communication. It was a masterclass in modern mystique, creating an unbearable curiosity that kept millions of people glued to their screens, waiting for the single spark of confirmation that would turn a series of unbelievable internet rumors into the most talked-about reality of the decade, paving the way for a revelation that would polarize the public and ignite a fierce debate about the boundaries of fame, taste, and the modern obsession with public consumption. The heavy steel doors of Madison Square Garden remained firmly shut to the public, but behind that impenetrable wall of heightened security, the true scale of this unprecedented event was finally realized as an elite guest list of exactly 1,000 carefully selected individuals gathered inside the dramatically transformed arena. This was not a typical gathering of friends and family, but rather a staggering assembly of global power, wealth, and influence featuring a breathtaking collection of Hollywood icons, legendary musical figures, and top-tier business executives from the highest echelons of global conglomerates like the Walt Disney Company, all sitting side by side in the heart of the stadium. Among the sea of famous faces, eagle-eyed observers managed to spot close friends like supermodel Gigi Hadid and acclaimed actor Hugh Grant, who had flown in to witness a ceremony that completely bypassed the traditional sanctity of a private estate or a quiet countryside chapel. For days leading up to this moment, whispers and media reports had confidently suggested that the high-profile couple would choose a much more traditional and intimate path, perhaps exchanging their deeply personal vows in a secluded morning ceremony, away from the prying eyes of the press before heading over to the iconic sports arena solely to host a massive, high-energy wedding celebration for their wide circle of acquaintances. However, in a move that completely stunned the entertainment world and shattered all expectations, the main event did not happen in secret as the actual wedding ceremony itself took place right on the very floor of the massive arena, turning the historical grounds of legendary concert encores and championship boxing matches into the ultimate altar. Confirmation of this architectural and cultural marvel came shortly after the final vows were exchanged, when the bride's official representative formally broke the news to People magazine, revealing the intricate details of the hyper-luxurious styling that defined the historic evening. Both the bride and the groom walked down the aisle wearing immaculate, custom-designed masterpieces from Christian Dior Haute Couture, tailored over countless hours in the legendary fashion houses of Paris to fit the exact proportions of the world's most famous couple, while their footwear was exclusively provided by the iconic red-soled master designer Christian Louboutin. In another fascinating departure from traditional wedding conventions that quickly sent shockwaves through internet fan communities, the pop icon chose not to have any traditional bridesmaid standing by her side as she made her way toward the altar. Instead, she leaned heavily on her family bonds, designating her younger brother Austin Swift to serve as her official man of honor, while the groom stayed true to his own deep familial roots on the gridiron by naming his brother, the legendary retired football center Jason Kelce, as his trusted best man. The star-studded nature of the evening reached an absolute fever pitch when it was revealed that the entire ceremony was officially overseen and officiated by none other than Hollywood comedy legend and longtime friend Adam Sandler, who brought his trademark blend of humor and warmth to the high-stakes proceedings, sealing the union of the pop superstar and the championship athlete before their distinguished audience. Yet, the true dramatic climax of the evening did not take place silently within the safe confines of the flower-draped interior, because almost the exact second that the marriage confirmation was officially published by the media, the newlywed couple made a calculated decision to announce the news to the entire city of New York and the world at large in the most public way imaginable. The management of Madison Square Garden suddenly lit up their massive multi-million-dollar electronic billboards that wrap around the exterior of the building on 7th Avenue, flashing a giant, high-definition digital sign that read "Justin Married" on multiple screens simultaneously, immediately catching the attention of thousands of commuters, tourists, and gathered fans who began photographing the glowing spectacle. This immediate, stadium-sized public broadcast sparked a fierce and instantaneous wave of polarization across global social media platforms, as millions of people began to debate the tastefulness of turning what is traditionally a deeply sacred, private human milestone into a corporate-style marketing campaign. A highly critical tweet showcasing a photograph of the massive digital billboard quickly went viral, racking up millions of impressions within minutes, alongside a biting caption that claimed having massive commercial billboards put up immediately after getting married at Madison Square Garden might actually be the single tackiest and most desperate thing this woman has ever done in her entire highly calculated career. This specific sentiment of deep exhaustion and frustration quickly came to dominate the cultural discourse across platforms like X and TikTok, with another prominent user pointing out that the entire visual aesthetic of the announcement looked less like a romantic celebration and more like a high-budget corporate advertisement for a major telecommunications company like AT&T, describing the entire affair as deeply performative and artificial. The online criticism grew sharper as culture critics and casual observers began to dissect the strange relationship between the celebrity couple and their massive, fiercely loyal fan base, with one commentator hilariously noting that the funniest misread of the century was the fact that thousands of devoted fans genuinely thought they were being incredibly respectful by staying away from the arena to give the couple space, when in reality the pop star actually wanted a massive roaring crowd standing outside on the streets to cheer and validate this manufactured public moment. Another cynical observer chimed in to mock the historical narrative of the couple's desire for isolation, quipping about the sheer absurdity of a person using a commercial stadium billboard to announce their marriage after their fan base had spent months arguing that she desperately wanted absolute privacy from the media circus. This glaring contrast between extreme public exposure and dignified silence led many internet users to directly compare this massive stadium wedding to the incredibly quiet relationship of fellow Hollywood superstars Zendaya and Tom Holland, who managed to get married in absolute secrecy without a single paparazzi photo emerging, only confirming their marriage long after the fact. One widely shared post highlighted this exact comparison, stating that while they originally thought Zendaya was being an absolute drag for not even posting a single photo of her wedding dress on Instagram, they now realize that quiet discretion and privacy are infinitely classier than this entire loud commercialized stadium circus. This wave of disapproval was mirrored intensely across the forums of Reddit, where one of the most highly upvoted comments bluntly summarized the feelings of many onlookers by describing the entire Madison Square Garden event as a tacky, desperate, and completely classless display of wealth. Another user raised a fundamental question about the psychological nature of modern fame, asking why an event so deeply personal had to be made entirely for public consumption, arguing that if they possessed that astronomical level of wealth, they would have chosen to get married in a beautiful, entirely private corner of the earth surrounded only by close family, rather than creating this absolute media insanity. The cultural commentary even took on a grander, more dramatic tone as some users reacted to the viral tweets with utter despair, with one typing out that this was simply embarrassing behavior from the highest cultural levels. while another dramatically declared that watching the world's biggest pop star turn her wedding into a corporate billboard advertisement felt like witnessing the literal, cringiest collapse of a nation in real time, leaving the entire internet divided over whether this was a beautiful modern fairy tale or the ultimate peak of celebrity narcissism. To understand why this massive stadium wedding has struck such a sensitive chord across the global cultural landscape, one must look beyond the blinding lights of the Madison Square Garden billboards and examine the deeper societal shift this event represents. For generations, the ultimate marker of true luxury, high status, and aristocratic refinement among the global elite has been absolute discretion, a quiet withdrawal from the public eye where the most significant moments of a person's life are shared only with a trusted inner circle behind heavy iron gates or on private, unmapped islands. By completely subverting this ancient tradition and choosing instead to hold their wedding inside a massive commercial sports arena in the center of the world's most media-saturated metropolis, this couple has effectively signaled the dawn of a new era where attention itself is the highest form of currency, and where even the most sacred human vows are treated as content to be distributed, broadcast, and monetized in real time. This deliberate blending of a deeply personal family milestone with corporate-level branding has forced the public to confront the uncomfortable reality of modern celebrity culture, where the line between a genuine human life and a manufactured commercial product has been completely erased. For the championship football star, this hyper-visible wedding marks the absolute pinnacle of a remarkable personal journey that began far away from the bright lights of New York City, in the modest suburbs of Ohio where he and his brother grew up pushing each other to achieve athletic greatness. Long before he was walking down a flower-lined aisle in a custom French haute couture suit, he was a dedicated athlete working tirelessly on muddy practice fields, gradually climbing the ranks of professional sports through sheer physical dominance, a relentless work ethic, and an infectious, larger-than-life personality that made him a beloved leader in his locker room and a fan favorite across the nation. His rise to global fame was defined by historic championship runs, record-breaking statistics, and a reputation for being an authentic, down-to-earth competitor who wore his emotions on his sleeve, making his sudden transition into the hyper-calculated world of global pop stardom all the more fascinating for sports fans and cultural commentators alike. To see a man whose life was once measured strictly by yards gained, blocks delivered, and physical endurance on the gridiron suddenly become the central figure in a high fashion stadium-sized entertainment spectacle is a testament to the unpredictable nature of modern fame, demonstrating how quickly the worlds of elite sports and global pop music can fuse together to create an unstoppable media juggernaut. On the other side of this historic union is a woman whose entire adult life has been lived under the magnifying glass of public scrutiny, an artistic visionary who has spent nearly 2 decades transforming her personal heartbreaks, triumphs, and vulnerabilities into universal anthems that define the lives of millions of loyal followers across the globe. Her journey from a young, ambitious acoustic guitar player writing songs on her bedroom floor to a multi-billion-dollar economic force capable of altering the financial trajectories of major cities with her stadium tours is a narrative of unprecedented ambition, creative control, and unmatched marketing genius. Throughout her storied career, she has masterfully navigated the shifting tides of the music industry, reinventing her sonic identity across multiple genres and building a deeply intimate, almost mythological relationship with her fanbase by hiding secret codes in her album booklets, dropping cryptic clues in her music videos, and encouraging her supporters to dissect her personal life like a complex puzzle. This long history of hyperconnectivity with her audience is precisely why the Madison Square Garden billboard announcement has polarized her community so intensely, as many fans feel a deep sense of whiplash, seeing an artist who once invited listeners into her living room for private album listening sessions now celebrate her marriage behind a fortress of heavy security while flashing a giant corporate-style SIG into the bustling streets outside. This event matters so deeply to the broader public because it serves as a powerful mirror for our current cultural moment, capturing our collective obsession with public validation, the rapid commercialization of intimacy, and the strange parasocial relationships that bind ordinary individuals to the lives of the rich and famous. The intense backlash on platforms like Reddit and X is not merely a reaction to a single tacky design choice or an ostentatious display of wealth, but rather a collective gasp of exhaustion, From a society that is increasingly tired of the endless performative nature of the digital age, where every single human experience must be curated, photographed, and broadcast for maximum engagement. By transforming a wedding into a stadium-sized media event, the couple has inadvertently triggered a massive philosophical debate about the value of privacy, the true meaning of class, and the lengths to which public figures will go to maintain their grip on the global news cycle. Yet, despite the fierce online criticism and the cynical commentary from media analysts, it is impossible to deny the sheer historical scale of what transpired under the roof of that legendary arena. An event that will undoubtedly be analyzed by pop culture historians for decades to come as the definitive celebrity moment of the decade. As the final guests departed into the cool morning air and the massive digital billboards on 7th Avenue finally faded back into their standard commercial rotations, the city of New York returned to its usual chaotic rhythm. But the cultural landscape had been permanently shifted by the spectacle that had just unfolded in its heart. Whether history remembers this unprecedented night as a beautiful, boundary-breaking celebration of two modern icons who refused to hide their love from the world, or as the ultimate cringiest peak of performative celebrity culture, it has set a massive new benchmark for what it means to be famous in the modern world, leaving millions of people to wonder what could possibly come next in a romance that has already conquered the worlds of music, sports, and stadium-sized entertainment. As always, a massive story like this thrives on the diverse perspectives of people all around the world, so please let me know your honest thoughts on this entire Madison Square Garden wedding spectacle in the comments below. Whether you view it as a legendary modern fairy tale or a step too far into public commercialization.